Las Vegas, Las Vegas kan gambling, So what they do, okay, because they want to gamble, okay, so what is the best case or what is the worst case? So they derive with a Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, so that's why now we are using Monte Carlo simulation. This is just to forecast about the future, right? So it's also forecast about the future. So actually it is from the Monte Carlo technique of gambling. Okay, no, don't know, So they use the gambling technique, okay? Because tak tahu kan, if you gamble, for example, you gamble in the casino, alright? Okay, this is out of topic, but this is the theoretical part here is derived from that. Okay, the theoretical part, I mean the simulation comes from that. So basically, it comes from the gambling industry. So because the people gamble, okay, they do not know what will be. For example, you play cards, right? You do not know what is the next card will be. Okay, what is the next card? You have 42 cards, right? And you do not know what is the next card. Maybe it is Q or maybe it's K, right? So that is probability. You are using probability. So statistics also using probability. Okay, finance also using probability, right? So that's why we call it. It's actually derived from Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, Monte Carlo simulation. It is not the textbook. Okay, so simulation is a statistically based behavioral approach that applies predetermined probability distribution and random numbers to estimate risky outcomes. Okay, so it's actually random, right? You just take, for example, you take from the deck, the card deck, just take one number, okay, you get a 4. So that is random, right? Or maybe you just put your, you look at the lucky number, right? You just take one number, and that is a random number, actually, right? So that is random number. So the probability of you to get a number, okay, how many percent? So that one is you are still learning it in statistics, right? So you can use what you have learned in statistics and use it for also in finance. Okay. Now, figure 10.1 presents a flowchart of the simulation of the NPV of a project. So there is a figure 10.1. You can refer to your textbook. Okay. So the use of computers has made the use of simulation economically feasible. Okay. Okay, because it is easy. Time is not time consuming, it is time, it is really fast, okay, and easy to use, okay. So, and the result output provide an excellent basis of decision making. So basically, when you run your simulation, okay, you can always make decision on the result, okay. Basically, it's easy. You just push a button, then you can get the result. Okay, but you have to know the concepts, okay, the concepts. Right, so this is the figure, which illustrate the flow of the simulation, the flow of simulation. Okay, now if you are a finance major or marketing major, you can always be the one who develop a system. This is what we call a system. Okay, you don't have to be a programmer to be a system, to be a system designer. But if you know the system, you can always design, ask the programmer to design the system for you. And then you can sell the system, okay? You can sell the system, then you can get money. For example, this man, Monte Carlo or anything, okay? He only designed the system. The programming part will be handed over to the computer programmer. Okay? So these are the charts. Okay? Very simple. Right? This is very simple, right? Okay, but using but you will give to the programmer and they will try to do it for you. Okay, okay. At first, you generate random number. Okay, maybe you have 1 until 100,000. That is your number. Or maybe 1 until 1 million or 1 until infinity. You just generate the number. Which number you want to will give you? It will be randomly selected. Okay. And then after that, you will have your cash inflow and cash outflow. So cash outflow will be random. Cash outflow will also be random. Okay. So you look at this. The cash outflow is higher, right? You see, it is higher than the cash inflow because the cash inflow you have a series of cash inflow, so it will be a smaller cash inflow. Okay, smaller cash inflow compared to the cash outflow, which is your initial investment, which is big. Normally, it's very big at the initial stage, okay? And then after that, you use this random number, okay, to use it in your model, okay? In your model, which is you use a mathematical model, Okay, in this case we use the NPV equal to present value of cash inflow, or CF, divided by 1 plus IRR power of n. Okay, so minus with initial investment. Okay, so basically after that you can get your probability of the net present value NPV. Okay, so these are the model, and then after that you just repeat it again. Repeat the first case, when the worst case, best case, most likely case, best case, worst case. Okay, you can do a lot of simulation. Okay, then you can get this result here. Okay, so this is the kind, not the cash flow, the flow, the diagram, the diagram for the flow of your simulation process. Okay. Okay, we finished with simulation. You can always try to find Monte Carlo simulation if you want to look at the Monte Carlo, or maybe there are a lot of other simulation which is being developed by many companies in US and also UK, right? Maybe you want to develop a system in Malaysia after this. Okay, you all can develop a system. You can always do business with this. Okay. All right. Now, international risk consideration. Okay. Now we look at the international risk consideration. If you are manufacturing locally but you want to export to another country, you are actually dealing with international risk, because you have to deal with the exchange rate risk. Okay? The exchange rate risk, which is the risk that you cannot predict what will happen in the future. For example, if the currency of another country depreciates, and when you have to receive your inflows in terms of that currency. Okay, so when you receive for example, you are receiving your currency in US dollar, okay, and then US dollar depreciate, your cash inflow will be reduced or will be lower than what you have forecasted, right? So this is what we call the exchange rate risk. Currency can appreciate or currency can depreciate. Okay, right. So in the short term, you would like to go for certain hedging tools that you would like to use to eliminate all the exchange rate risk. Okay, some of the tools that I could list here are the forward contract, okay, the futures, the options contract. Okay, these contracts or these tools could be used to eliminate the exchange rate risk. Okay, but even though it can be used, normally small firms could not afford to use futures or options, because the cost of using option or futures are expensive. Okay, so because the costs are expensive, that's why in 1997 many companies in Malaysia, okay, has facing financial problems because of this exchange rate risk. Because they export to overseas and they will be receiving money, or maybe they borrow from international banks or from other countries. So that's why the exchange rate, when the Malaysian ringgit has depreciated to US dollar, okay, to 3.8, okay, for every $1. Before, previously it was 2.5, okay, and then it depreciated to 3.8. So actually, when we have to pay to another country, to US company, for example, we have to pay double. Okay, so that is why many companies are financially distressed. And one of the reasons of them being bankrupt or being financially distressed is because they do not use hedging techniques. Okay, they do not use hedging. Hedging is eliminating the risk. So because of the cost is expensive, and some of them are not aware of these techniques. Okay, some of the financial managers or the owners of the companies are not aware of this technique, because this is very new to our market. Okay, so basically you'll be covering futures, options. Okay, I know you are very anxious to learn option, futures, forward contract. Okay, you'll be learning in this maybe in the corporate finance or financial management. Okay, but if you want to go in detail for this type of futures, option or forward, you can always take investment class. Okay, investment class. Alright, now if that is for short term in nature, but if you look at the long term nature, okay, the exchange rate risk could be eliminated by borrowing locally. Okay, you borrow from local bank and also you sell locally. You receive the money in terms of your local currency. So that's why you don't have to worry about the exchange rate risk. So what you do is that you finance the project in whole, okay, in the local currency instead of financing the project in terms of US dollars or yen or maybe using euro dollar, okay, euro currency. Okay, so another factor which might be important for you when you want to consider your risk, okay, is the political risk. Okay, this is true, right? Now let's say if you are actually a manufacturer here in Malaysia, and then you export your palm oil. Okay, you are a palm oil manufacturer. You export your products to Iraq. Okay, and then because of the political reason, okay, there are war, okay, between US and Iraq. Okay, your product is, I mean, your export. You don't know where is your export, your ships, and all that thing, right? So this is political risk. Okay, so it is harder for you to protect yourself against this risk, because this is not beyond your control. It is out of your control. It is undiversified risk. You cannot diversify this risk. Okay, you cannot eliminate the risk because this is beyond your control. Okay. So a foreign government can block repatriation of profits and even seize the firm assets. Okay, for example, you look at after the September 11, many countries' assets are being blocked. Okay, being blocked. Okay, because of they are labelled as terrorists. Okay, because they are labelled as terrorists. So their assets are blocked. Okay, for example, US Bank blocked this asset of some of the Middle Eastern companies. Okay. So this is political risk. Okay, and then also you look at the foreign government. For example, Malaysia, we ourselves, we block, okay, the repatriation of profits by using capital control. Okay, 1997, right? So because speculators can come into our country and then can swipe all our wealth and then go to another country, right? So what we do capital control. So this is also another risk which other firms or international firms in US, they invested here, so they cannot get their profit back to their country. And even though you look at certain countries such as maybe China, okay, if you invest in China, you cannot bring back your money. Okay, you cannot bring back your money to your back to your country. You have to spend that. Okay, that is their policy. Because that one is when they are closed economy. Nowadays I'm not sure whether because they are open the economy, maybe we can always invest there and then we can get back our money. Okay, so because of the closed economy, open economy, okay, so that's another factor. Right. Now, accounting for this risk can be accomplished by adjusting the rate, use the discount cash flow, or better by adjusting the project cash flow. So you can, okay, if you want to adjust this, it's either for you to adjust the rate, okay, you adjust the rate, maybe you want to increase the rate, okay, the rate which is the risk, the cost of capital, or you want to reduce the cash flows, you want to discount the cash flows, right? Okay, since a great deal of cross-border trading among M and C take place between subsidiaries, it is also important to determine the net incremental impact of project cash flow overall. So basically, if you look at multinational companies, okay, if you want to do a project for multinational companies, you have to look all the incremental, okay, impact of all the subsidiaries. For example, you have Nestle have Malaysia subsidiaries, right? And also Indonesia, US, and also Finland. So you have to look at all subsidiaries or the incremental impact of the whole project. Okay, so you have to look at that. You cannot just look, okay, Malaysia, if you want to implement this, what happened to only Malaysia project only? No, we have to look overall. Okay, overall. So as a result, it is important to approach international capital project from a strategic viewpoint rather than from a strictly financial perspective. So you have to look it strategically rather than you have to look it in terms of financial perspective solely. Okay, you have to look at strategic rather than that. Okay, now we look at this risk-adjusted discount rate. Now this is one way of how you want to adjust the risk, right? So what you do is that you adjust your cost of capital. Okay, so you look at the formula. This formula will be the same. Okay, this formula will be NPV equal to CFT divided by 1 plus RADR power of T minus CFO. Okay, CFO is initial investment. This is the same as your NPV, right? Except that this one 1 plus IRR will be changed to 1 plus RADR. This is the risk-adjusted discount rate. Okay, risk-adjusted discount rate normally will be higher than the cost of capital or the IRR, because you have adjust your rates, okay, because of political reason, because of the exchange rate risk, because of the all of the risk that you have found that you want to increase or you want to adjust. So normally it will be higher. Okay, so this is just saying that, okay, if you have two rates, one is cost of capital, the other one is RADR, you choose what the question needs you to solve. Okay? If the question asks you to use RADR, you use RADR instead of using the cost of capital. Okay, that's very simple. Okay, so basically risk-adjusted discount rate are rates of return that must be earned on given project to compensate the firm owners adequately. So how you want to compensate the owner adequately? You have to compensate him by the risk that he will be facing. Okay, so if the company is facing higher risk, so he will be having also higher return. Okay, that is to maintain or to improve the firm share price. So basically, our task as financial manager, your task as financial manager, the aim is to maximize the shareholder wealth. So when you want to maximize the shareholder wealth is by increasing the share price. So when you want to do that, you have to, any decision that you want to do, you want to make, you have to base on that principle, which is to maximize the shareholder's wealth. Okay.